Hello everybody, hope you're doing well and thanks for joining us for another video. It's crazy to think it's been almost 2 months since the launch of Artemis 2, NASA are already beginning work on the rocket for Artemis 3, and yet people are still coming out with wonderfully desperate arguments to try and claim it's all fake. For example, just the other day I saw this video being shared. Now, it's not in English, but it does at least have subtitles. Firstly, he's trying to claim that the Hello World photo is CGI because NASA released 2 versions of it, and he's claiming one is taken during daylight, one is taken at night with the exact same clouds in view. Now, I'm sure most of you will be ahead of me on this one, and some of you might even be in the process of removing your forehead from your hand, but these are not taken hours apart. They were taken barely seconds apart. They're just taken with different exposure settings. If we download both photos from the NASA gallery and compare the EXIF data, both were taken within the same minute. 27 minutes past midnight, 3rd of April 2026. Obviously that depends on what time zone the camera clock is set to, but I suspect it's UTC. Now, the darker of the 2 photos was shot with an aperture of f5.6, a shutter speed of 1/15 of a second, and an ISO of 51,200. The brighter shot was still at ISO 51,200, but the aperture was f4 and the shutter was 1/4 of a second. Now, f5.6 to f4 is 1 full f-stop, so that is double the amount of light getting to the camera. Then 1/15 of a second to 1/4 of a second is 4 times longer exposure. So combined with the aperture, that is 8 times more light being captured with the brighter shot than the darker shot, just from changing the camera settings. And there's other obvious clues with this that show it's not 12 hours later. Firstly is the amount of noise in the image. The noise is due to the very low amount of light getting to the camera, which has forced them to shoot at the insanely high ISO of 51,200. In full sunlight, you'd struggle to shoot anything at that ISO level without completely overexposing your photo. And the other clue is the city lights. A, city lights wouldn't be on during the day, but B, even if they were, you wouldn't see them because the rest of the Earth would be too bright. You know, if you were out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, and someone was shining a flashlight at you, you could see that from several miles away. But in the middle of the day, you wouldn't even know the light was on. Secondly, he then complains about the apparent lack of video from Artemis. And I've seen a lot of people trying to pull this argument.
That they were awed, speechless, when they saw a picture of Earth leaving while they were going away. Well, that's great. You know, that's wonderful. There should be fucking 20 cameras on this goddamn... sorry, I don't want to bring God into it, okay? On this fucking thing, okay? Recording 24/7.
And I find this argument in particular to be quite ironic. For starters, yes, NASA had lots of cameras scattered throughout the spacecraft, both inside and outside. The entire mission was being live-streamed pretty much from start to finish. Now, this is where it gets funny for me personally, because a lot of the people that I've seen argue this point are flat earthers. The same flat earthers who 18 months ago, in response to a group of us going to Antarctica and recording the 24-hour sun that doesn't work on a flat earth, have tried to argue the non-stop 24-hour 360-degree video that we captured from multiple cameras, along with several hours of live streams that we did whilst we were there, apparently wasn't enough and we should have live streamed the entire thing instead. But now, for Artemis, several days of live streaming everything apparently isn't enough and they need the video instead. You know, for some people, the amount of evidence they require to accept an argument will always be one thing more than whatever you provide. But obviously, they'll never disclose what that level of evidence needs to be until after the event, so that they know where the bar's set. Now, for starters, the exterior cameras weren't just regular GoPros with a memory card in, because they were attached to the service module, which was jettisoned before re-entry and burnt up in the atmosphere. So any and all footage from those had to be streamed back to Earth and saved at NASA, just like how the TV footage from Apollo was streamed back to Earth and recorded onto tapes. But I think these people overlook what the cameras are actually there for. They were not there for the purpose of sightseeing. They're engineering cameras. That's why they're all wide-view cameras that are always showing parts of the spacecraft. It's so that if anything were to go wrong during the mission, they have a record and a log of everything they can keep hold of and use as a reference to figure out what happened and why. But then if everything goes smoothly, most of the footage becomes irrelevant. It's like planes with black box recorders. They record absolutely everything during a flight in case something goes wrong. But if the flight goes absolutely fine, then the black box data becomes redundant. NASA have been gradually rolling out the footage in the photos that they took. The issue is the sheer amount of data involved. I mean, let's consider just the Nikon cameras they were using. They had 2 D5 DSLRs and 1 Z9 mirrorless camera, so that's 3 cameras between 4 people. They had numerous memory cards that would often get swapped around between the cameras.
For the long lens on the D5, we will have individual cards. Victor's 1008, Jeremy 1019, Reed 1012, myself 1015. For the Z9, we will have 1 card that is dedicated for today, serial number 1007. For the cabin camera D5, we will have 1 dedicated card for today, serial number 1022.
Yet, when we look through the gallery, all the photos are labelled sequentially. But they can't have been captured like that across 3 cameras with multiple memory cards because each camera wouldn't know what the file number of the other cameras was up to. So they would have had to have put them all together into a library first and then organised them. And all of the original files were shot raw as NEF files. However, you can't open those without photo editing software. No website or regular phone or computer would be able to view them. So to put them out for the public to view, they all needed to be converted to a common format like JPEG. And not everybody wants high-resolution files, particularly if they're going to be used on a website where traffic bandwidth becomes a factor. So for the 12,000 photos that NASA has so far released from Artemis, they would have had to have taken the raw files from 3 cameras, which if they were all shooting in 14-bit uncompressed RAW, would be around 50 megabytes per file, which for 12,000 photos is around 600 gigabytes. Group them all into one library, rename them all to be sequential, then convert them all into full resolution JPEGs, then convert them again into lower resolution JPEGs, then upload all of those JPEGs to the Gateway archive. And that's just the photos from the Nikon cameras. That doesn't include any of the videos they shot with those, the iPhones that they were carrying, the numerous GoPro cameras scattered around the spacecraft. There's also then the factor that the photos released on the Gateway website so far only have views looking outside. However, the same Nikon cameras were used to capture shots of the interior and the crew. Some of them have been made public by NASA already, but none appear to be showing in the Gateway archive. And the number sequences within what is already on the archive have gaps in them. Could well be privacy. Like, they don't want to release them until they've checked them all to make sure there's maybe nothing personal to the astronauts that could be leaked. But that is purely speculation. The point being, the photos are being released. There's more and more videos being dropped quite frequently. Like, we've got now much clearer views of the exterior shots. Even this one of Jeremy Hansen playing with a bubble of water.
Push your straw into it and gently carry it down, but you don't need to do that.
Keep talking, Jeremy.
Yep, just perfect. Feeling it. Yeah. Oh, you busted the bubble. Crazy. If you got that on film and his head turned up right side up.
I didn't quite. It's a little hard. Now you're upside down, Jeremy.
You ready for me to try and remove it?
Yep. I'm taking a video.
This was one of the videos shot with the Nikon Z9. It's going to take time to organise all of this. I mean, our Antarctica trip hits a lot of similarities. We did some live streams at the time so people could see what was going on, and we were talking to people in the chat whilst we were doing it, a bit like the Artemis crew doing interviews, but the rest of the footage that we recorded took much longer to process. I'd recorded a 360-degree time-lapse, which was 25 gigabytes. I couldn't upload that at the camp in Antarctica, so I put together a short, sped-up time-lapse version to release as soon as possible. But then the full time-lapse didn't come until a few days later when I'd got back to Chile and had better internet to upload it. I also published a time-lapse of the entire flight to Antarctica as well around the same time, but there were other people on the flight who'd recorded uninterrupted 4K footage of the entire flight in real time. That's a much larger file, so they didn't get theirs processed and uploaded until several weeks later. Then there was the two 360-degree cameras that were recording regular video for a total of 25 hours.
Alright. So obviously you all know Jaron Campanella of Jaronism, one of the most popular flat earth YouTubers. Not for long.
Those caused me a massive headache to piece together because they all automatically split into 30-minute files, and the finished file was about 250 gigabytes, so that didn't get released until several weeks later either. And then the reality is NASA aren't going to publish an endless stream of video covering an entire 10 days because what would be the point? Now, for anybody who's about to jump up and yell, oh, the point will be to prove it's not fake, they've already released plenty of video footage that shows it's not fake, except it all just gets dismissed as being fake because it's from NASA. So even if NASA released 10 full days of video, the people who are asking for it aren't going to accept it because they'll say, no, this comes from NASA, so therefore it must be fake. And the fact is, such footage from 10 days would be mind-numbingly boring to watch. The coast to the moon and back would show nothing but a celestial body getting very, 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 very slowly bigger or smaller, and basically nothing else happening. Once they were in the coast phase, very little actually happened. Most of the action was early on in the mission or when they were going around the moon, and even then, it wasn't actually constant. I mean, NASA have released video footage that was taken during some of the burn maneuvers around the Earth. They've got a half-an-hour video of the apogee rays burn, and even though this has views of the Earth and a changing orientation, I challenge any conspiracy theorist to sit through this entire video watching it in real time without being bored. They have a 13-minute video of their perigee rays burn, which again, very little actually happens, and you wind up skipping through most of it to see if anything does happen. Now basically imagine having this view paused, not changing, and stare at it for a full hour. You know, that would be boring. Imagine doing it for a full day, because that is essentially what an uninterrupted video of the coast of the moon would look like. Nobody's going to sit through that. You know, for context, the 360-degree videos that we recorded in Antarctica, MC Toon recorded one where he just left the camera set up at the center of a sundial to show the shadow length of the sun changing throughout the day. Now, this was just set up and left whilst we'd gone back to the main camp to sleep. Now, YouTube limits videos to 12 hours a piece, so he had to split it into multiple parts. The second part of his video is basically 12 hours of nothing happening. And I asked MC Toon what the view retention was for that video. 4.5 minutes. On average, people were watching only 4.5 minutes of a 12-hour video. Then make that video 20 times longer and you've basically got what would be like watching Artemis coast to the moon and back. Even when I put together all of our footage from the first 24 hours in Antarctica, so that's two 12-hour videos which consisted of two 360-degree real-time videos, a time-lapse solar camera, GoPros, all our live streams, photos and videos that I was personally shooting, and all with a long list of timestamps so people could jump through to the moments of particular interest rather than just wondering what's going to happen, the average view duration for each video was still only 9 minutes. Nobody wants to sit through a video where nothing's happening, and the only people who are asking to see such video wouldn't actually bother watching it even if they got it. Now, going back to this fact that the exterior cameras are for engineers' references, not really for sightseeing, actually links us to these posts I've seen coming up from people, that they can get much better views of the moon from here on Earth. Except, of course, for them to get such shots, they've had to use a very long focal length lens, whereas the exterior cameras of Artemis were all short focal length in order to see the spacecraft. If you try taking a photo of the moon here on Earth with a GoPro, it's going to look tiny. But then, as we can see in the Artemis photo gallery, they took lots of photos of the moon, also with long focal length lenses, and they were able to get much better photos of the moon than anything we can get here on Earth. But conveniently, those people ignore them. Then there's even views of the moon that we can't get here on Earth because they're on the far side of the moon that we never see. But of course, they then get dismissed as fake because NASA. Highlighting my earlier point, the very people who were saying Artemis must be fake because NASA hasn't released XYZ are the very people who wouldn't actually accept XYZ because it's come from NASA. Or if NASA had released XYZ in the first place, then the people would be saying, well, actually, no, what we need is UVW, so therefore it's all fake. I mean, here we have people saying the mission's fake because it should have all been live streamed.
There should be fucking 20 cameras on this goddamn... sorry, I don't want to bring God into it, okay? On this fucking thing, okay? Recording 24/7.
We can never get full, live, unedited video focused straight ahead of the rocket, or with a view focused on Earth. All we ever get is launch footage, cut to CGI like this for an hour, then whenever they're ready to restart the so-called live feed, here's what we get. Always a view with huge portions of the screen taken up by large random pieces of the craft.
You don't have live consistent footage of them going to the moon. Instead, people will say, oh, but I've seen it launch on Earth. Yeah, but you didn't see it go to the moon.
This lady made that argument just after she'd argued this.
People really think live streams can't be manipulated. Like, we're just watching a stream of people saying they're going to space. We're supposed to accept that with no questions asked.
So she needs it to be all live streamed, but she's never going to accept a live stream because live streams can be faked. Meanwhile, there's this guy highlighting exactly why nobody's going to watch a live stream for 10 days.
What the hell am I looking at? What is this? What kind of garbage is this? I mean, this is $60 or $80 million a day, and this grainy shit is all we get. And people are like, people are sitting here for hours watching this shit. Just hours, wasting their time.
SLS may well be able to launch 4 humans 250,000 miles to the moon and back, but even that does not match the lifting capabilities of a conspiracy theorist moving goalposts. Well, that's going to be it for this video. As always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't already done so, then please do consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.